Projekt Guru.
Всем привет! С вами Zak Novak на радиостанции Novorossia Rocks. Welcome to Novorossia Rocks radio station. This is Zak Novak, your American Projekt Guru. This is Projekt Guru and Gurus in the house. As always, Andre, my engineer, as well. Let's go straight to the news. First off with Kurdistan. 13-year-old murdered in Sur. Attacks by Nazi Turkey state forces have claimed yet another civilian life in Sur district of Ahmed, where a state of siege remains in force for 66 days. This is the PKK Info Center in support from DPR Donetsk headquarters. Attacks by Nazi Turkish state forces have claimed yet another civilian life, Sur district Ahmed. A child who got wounded as a result of the attacks by state Turk forces the day before lost his life late yesterday. His death was announced by YPS civil defense units, as was caused by mortar attacks by the state junta Turk forces on Hazreli neighborhood. Today, he has been identified as 13-year-old Murat Menekse, who was left alone after his family fled the neighborhood under a curfew. The boy's body still remains in the neighborhood. Also in, sixth day without news from Cizre basement. It has been 6 days since the last news came from the basement in Cizre's Kudi neighborhood, where 15 badly wounded, 7 murdered, 9 more trapped with exhaustion, all stuck in the basement for 14 days, still waiting to be rescued. It has been 6 days since the last news came from the basement in Cizre's Kudi neighborhood, as the Nazi Turkish state justifies its blockade at this location on alleged grounds of clashes in the area. Turk military and police forces deployed in the region are kind of leaving the people to die by disallowing ambulances, health teams, and families of the victims to reach this building, the basement level. The last communication with the basement took place 6 days ago when police attacked the wounded people who were trying to leave the basement as they spoke with HDP parliamentaries who were discussing the issue with officials from the Ministry of Interior Affairs. No life supplies, including water, could be found in the basements over the past 9 days. The day before, HDP co-president Zalal Dimitras called upon the government to open a human corridor to the town and declared that he was ready to join a team of medics and retrieve the wounded people. Members of the HDP delegation continued their correspondence with government officials on this issue. Faisal Zanildis, HDP parliamentary from Sirnak, state that the Turkish Nazi armed forces have been preventing the access of ambulances and medics to this building at the basement level since the first day of the conflict, using fake armed confrontations as their excuse. Yesterday, municipal ambulances were once again sent to the neighborhood to reach the trapped people, and they managed to come as close as 300 meters to the basement but could not move further as the area came under fire of state forces upon their arrival. That is war crimes. While the artillery attack continued till the evening hours, Nazi Turkish units in the area forced the ambulance to turn back on grounds of security and ongoing fighting. Ongoing denial of medical access had caused the death of 7 of wounded people in the basement by the time they were last reached 6 days ago. As for the others, no information is available as to their situation since. Yesterday, fire department also denied access to another building in the same Kudi neighborhood where 37 people were trapped in a house not far away. This building was similarly attacked by mortar attacks that started a huge fire, as a result of which 9 people inside burned to death due to the obstruction of the fire department not arriving on time due to the intervention and blockage by the Nazi Turkish forces. The recent developments in the town indicate Turkish state intentions for a mass killing of Kurds under savage conditions. This is ethnic cleansing. We also have resistance. Heavy clashes between YPS and state forces in Sirnak. Heavy clashes have erupted between YPS and YPS Jin against the Nazi Turk state forces that launched an attack on Banchelova, Dishle, and Yeni neighborhoods of Sirnak province today. Heavy clashes have erupted between YPS and the Nazi Turk forces, attacking with heavy arms, but were immediately responded to, returning of heavy gunfire by our civilian defense units, the YPS, which resulted in intense clashes that continue ceaselessly till 11 local time. A child by the name of Zehra Chevich got wounded in the foot amid the ongoing clashes. Civilian M. Siddiq Tekman, in his 30s, was heavily wounded after getting shot by a bullet in the head during the attacks by the Turkish forces. Tekman has been taken under treatment at Sirnak State Hospital, where 2 policemen, also Turkish policemen, were also hospitalized after suffering injuries during the fighting. Once again, war crimes by the junta, Kiev regime. Indiscriminate attacks on civilian areas. Nazi Ukrainian fighters shelled the village of Petrovsk district, Tudovskie, with targeting of civilian areas, homes destroyed by shells and shrapnel. Info we're getting in is that the shelling was coming in from the Marinka positions. Villages of Staromykhailovka, Alexandrovka were also shelled last night. Also have info on Donbass gas. The pipeline in Petrovsk district was heavily damaged. The constant shelling of Kominternovo again being attacked started again this morning at 9 a.m. In regards to Kominternovo, the information by the DPR Defense Ministry, the shelling was coming in from the positions of Shirokino, having used mortars of 120s, again using 120s. This is heavy caliber, grenade launches and small arms fire. At least 20 mortars were launched at the village. Civilian areas being hit with 120s. Also, at about 12:30, Nazi Ukrainian forces started shelling the village of Zavichevo, that's north suburb of Donetsk, close to the airport. The shelling was coming in from the Pesky area. It launched attacks with 82 caliber, also heavy caliber machine gun fire and small arms used randomly targeting civilians. The data information of casualties and wounded are still being gathered, and we will bring you more information as soon as possible. Andrei, kiss Crimea goodbye. She will never return to Ukraine, but stay where she belongs, Mother Russia. Crimea will never return to Ukraine, Sergei Aksyonov, the head of Crimea, said in response to a European Parliament's resolution passed on Thursday. No one is going to return Crimea to Ukraine. We have already returned to our historical homeland, which is Mother Russia. This is our final choice, which needs no revision. No decisions made by European parliaments will change that. Aksyonov believes that Europe is fulfilling a political order from overseas when it adopts such documents. There is no point in paying attention to these inadequate resolutions. The inhabitants of Crimea have got used to this kind of statements and are not surprised when European politicians take black for white. It's getting more funny to listen to this pack of lies. Early on Thursday, the European Parliament adopted a resolution. Listen to this, group. They adopted a resolution which links the lifting of the anti-Russian sanctions imposed after Crimea's reunification with Russia to the peninsula's return to Ukraine. In other words, they're going to take the sanctions off if Crimea comes back to Ukraine. The European deputies repeated that the European Union considered Crimea's reunification with Russia to be illegitimate. The restoration of Ukraine's control over the peninsula is one of the conditions necessary for resuming cooperation with Russia, including the lifting of the existing sanctions, the European Parliament resolution said. But that will never happen. Crimea belongs to Mother Russia. Ukraine junta released Vietnamese citizens who were beaten and falsely imprisoned. Guru, remember we did this report last week, how they were beating up the Vietnamese community, harassing, abuse, stealing their money and breaking it through their apartments. It was just horrible. The grotesque behavior of the Poroshenko junta regime, the fascist Nazi Ukraine government, showed its true colors once again when they were humiliating, harassing, and the physical abuse on the Vietnamese citizens who were falsely accused and taken to prison. Because they were different, identity and culture and skin color, they were abused beyond belief. Due to the media breakout of the story, especially the coverage from us, Novorossia Today, with photos and videos that went viral, the Vietnamese citizens were quickly released after their arrest, and another man was released on Wednesday. Ukraine authorities have released another 2 citizens of Vietnam detained in a recent raid of the security service SBO in a Vietnamese neighborhood in the southern city of Odessa, local media reports said on Thursday, citing the country's embassy in Kiev. The Vietnamese citizens were held by SBO on January 28 during the raid in the Lotos area of Odessa. The special alpha group of SBO searched for the evidence of an illegal activity of migrants and in particular foreign currency transactions, but came up empty. Nothing was found to charge these innocent citizens, yet they were beaten and still imprisoned. The Vietnamese diplomatic mission in Kiev said 2 citizens were released shortly after the arrest. Journalists in Odessa said the SBU agents broke into apartments and cut open the doors, even when the owners were not at home. The citizens claimed the agents took their money and valuables. After the incident, the head of Vietnam's Foreign Ministry's Consular Department, Lee Quoc Tuan, held a meeting with Ukraine's ambassador to Vietnam, Alexei Shovkoplias, on Tuesday. The Vietnamese diplomat said Ukraine's actions were unacceptable and demanded official explanations. Again, the Kiev junta, Ukraine government showing their true colors. For all the WikiLeaks fans and Julian Assange, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has been arbitrarily detained by Britain and Sweden since December 2010 and should be freed and compensated, a UN Human Rights panel said. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, which falls under the officers of the UN Human Rights Chief, made the call in an 18-page document made public on Friday after it notified Assange. A UN panel examining the case of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange said on Friday he had been arbitrarily detained by both Sweden and Britain and called on both countries to compensate him. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has been arbitrarily detained by Sweden and the United Kingdom since his arrest in London on 7 December 2010, the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention said today. The 5 independent rights experts who make up the panel insisted Assange's detention should be brought to an end, that his physical integrity, Guru, that's what we were talking about, his physical integrity and freedom of movement be respected, and that he should be entitled an enforceable right to compensation. Okay, everyone, that ends our program. Everybody be safe. Again, I stress, everybody be safe. Have a great weekend. See you all on Monday. Bye-bye, folks.